continue, repeat.
You gotta keep going. Work.
Any step is better than you sitting and doing nothing.
If it's on the hell yes, then you shouldn't do it.
I might disagree on this one a little bit with you.
They give up too soon.
You might feel incredibly happy today. It will change.
I think that's an incredible insight.
And I don't know why, but this motivates me so much.
Where I am right now, is this the right path for me?
Wow, this is what I want to do in life.
If you really believe X is going to happen, that's going to happen.
The moment when you want it.
So, Andrey, it's great to have you on the show.
Pleasure.
Before we jump into the 2 or 3 questions we've prepared, I think it will make sense for the audience just to get a glimpse into your path. Because, I mean, as we know, you're an executive coach, right? At least that's the word I use. But there's something that brought you on this path where, I mean, now you're coaching Forbes 30 under 30 people, you're coaching executives, you're coaching anything in between, right? And I'm pretty sure you weren't just born that way, right? So if maybe you could quickly give our audience the enlightenment of your path, I think that would be great. And then we'll jump right into it.
Yeah, absolutely. Pleasure. Have you been to Russia, Enrico?
I have actually once.
Which city?
St. Petersburg, Moscow.
So imagine you travel 4,000 kilometers from the Moscow really to the center of the country, and you get in the smallest town you can ever imagine, which is really hidden in the forest. So this is where I'm from. You know, as a kid, I always have a dream that I want to become something. No, it was always for me a really one-way direction that I wanted to grow, and that was to go in corporate. So since I remember myself, I said, Andrey, you need to go to corporate. And I spent pretty much 20 years of my life working in big multinational corporations. But then, you know, one day I just started to feel there is something else burning inside me. There's like that desire, that passion, which is not fully realized. And I start questioning myself. Whom do I want to be next? Is this everything I can do in my life? And through a couple of crises, couple of depressions, I really figured out that there is that thing which is called coaching. And I've heard that word pretty much the first time. But it's about, you know, helping people to grow and realize their dreams and become the people who are fully realizing their own potential. And I got totally, you know, trapped into this, that this became something which is inspiring me. And yeah, in a couple of years, you see, here we are sitting and talking with you about that. That's very short my journey.
It's actually interesting because when I heard the term coaching for the first time, I thought it's a bit of a voodoo science at the very first, honestly. But that changed actually when we were speaking, when I saw your style, how you do it. And the interesting thing is you don't really say anything, but you ask questions, right? And that's the power, I think. Like you ask the right questions where the answer is kind of already within us, right, in a way. And you help us unlock it.
It's a great word that you're saying. The answer is already within us. And I think this is very, very important to understand. Yes, we have all of the answers inside, but the question is, how do you unlock them? And the paradox that we all need to understand that we cannot jump higher than our own level. It's just this. And we can be incredibly smart, incredibly talented. But when we're alone, our potential to grow and unfold who we truly are, what are our capabilities, how to grow, has a limit. So this is where people like me come. And my only job is to enable you to become the next level of yourself. And the way I do it, you know, I can never even explain it because it's different from a person to person, from moment to moment. It's just about giving that space where people can reflect and grow and step up.
And what's like your ideal client these days? Do you work more with startup people, founders, executives, athletes, everything, nothing?
It's a great question, but I would almost twist that upside down. It doesn't really matter what the person is doing. For me, the key ingredient is the desire to grow. Because you can be whoever you are.
Could be anything.
Exactly. But the point is, as soon as you have that deep understanding that you can achieve bigger things in your life, and you're willing to, work hard for it, pay high price, because this is not easy, right? When somebody will tell you that growth is easy, you can laugh in that person's face. This is not easy. And as soon as you're ready to put yourself through the grinder of being in discomfort, working very hard, face the uncertainties, face your fears, this is my ideal client.
I think before it gets better, it always gets shit, right? First, many times as an entrepreneur, especially. So I think it's good if, especially entrepreneurial people, it's kind of lonely at the top for many of us. I mean, for me included, right? It's you don't go with the flow; you kind of go into the other direction, and it's generally speaking good to have someone with you on that journey, whatever that might be, right? For some people, it might be you. For other people, it might be something else, someone else, whatever. But I think what's interesting about this conversation is really you get to look into people's heads that are high achievers. Again, could be anything, right?
Yep.
And the first question I would have for you, if you would have to define like what makes the really excellent people excellent, like in one sentence. I know it's going to be very hard, but if you try to remove all abstraction layers and really go to the core, what do you think that would be actually?
For me, excellence is a factor of going into your biggest fears. It's as simple as that for me. Because there is a golden saying that the cave you fear to enter holds the treasure you seek. And funny enough, and I have worked with many people, it's usually always about what's your biggest fear. As soon as you identify your biggest fear and you're willing to go into that, irrespectively of how uncomfortable it is, this is your path to excellence. And I'm sure you have experienced this many times. I'm sure you have stepped into many of your fears, right?
I mean, the way I look at it is everything in life is kind of a decision tree, And I think what you can do with coaching is you can go down all possible paths. And you will see, I mean, what I realize often is that the worst case is actually very manageable. And especially once the worst case happened once or twice, it's, wow. It doesn't really matter, It doesn't really matter. At least that's how I felt.
That's true. And I know you very well. You are a high achiever. You are a high-profile entrepreneur. You have been many times in the situations where, it wasn't funny. It wasn't sunny. And you have gone through that, valleys of despair. But that's the beauty, right? And this is something many people don't fully understand. The real growth comes only from changing yourself. You can never change yourself in comfortable conditions. If everything is working nicely for you, you sit at home at your beautiful sofa, you're drinking pina coladas. I mean, what's the chance that you will level up? And when I say level up, not 1%, 2%, 200, 300, 1,000%. It won't happen. So you need to go through those moments when you sit and try to cry alone in your room because nothing works. And through those moments, you build your character, you build your courage, you change your personality. And that change prepares you for the next level of your achievement.
It's actually a good point. Like when I started this entrepreneurial journey, for me, it was really, you read all about these books, these people, these great founders who are at the end incredibly happy, right? But actually the reality is it's probably much easier not to become an entrepreneur than actually becoming one. Like if I compare myself to the peers that are not entrepreneurs, many are oftentimes happier because their journey is easier, right? Of course, I think the end result is probably the way. I mean, for me, I couldn't imagine anything else, to be honest. For me, it's the pain is worth it so much. But I think, wasn't it Elon Musk who said it, where he said something like entrepreneurship is like you crash the glass and you eat the remains, of the glass every single day. It hurts, it hurts, it hurts. But at the end, I don't know, these entrepreneurial people, they still do it because the alternative in our head, I think is they're so much worse.
Yeah.
Which is counterintuitive actually, because it's a bit different to what you read in the books, what you see in the movies, what you, generally speaking, hear kind of in the mainstream, at least in my experience.
And I would support you here. And it's true. The reality for most people is a little bit distorted. Why? Because you read books which are written by incredibly successful people who have gone through that grit and already on the levels which are, sometimes not even achievable. You look on social media and everyone is a trillionaire startup. You don't see the failures. You see success here, success there, and nobody prepares people, especially in university. They don't talk about how complicated, how challenging, how stressful this path is. And when you face with the brutal reality that you have to make decisions, you have to take responsibility, you cannot sleep because everything must be controlled and there are so many things which are falling off the cliff, you realize the world of entrepreneurship is not that maybe a fairy tale as you imagine initially. And this is why it's not made for 100% of people. I can speak from the perspective of a person who has been for quite a significant time in a corporate world. And I'm not saying that this world is better or worse. I'm saying it's different. The level of stability, the level of predictability is absolutely uncomparable. But the joy of seeing the results of your fruits made with your own brains, with your own heads, I think you cannot compare it to anything.
I think it's like diets. There's different diets that work for different people. And it's really like that. Like some people literally only eat meat, feel great. Other people only eat veggies, feel great. Other people do something in the middle. Other people don't eat anything. I think Steve Jobs at some point just ate fucking apples, something like that, right? Literally. He was a skinny guy, especially at the end. But yeah, I mean, if I had to answer my own question that I just asked, what does it mean to have the excellence? I think it's not about excellence. It's just about keeping going, like continuity and resilience. You will get pumped down many, many more times, but technically, if you just stand up one more time, then you get knocked down. You can only win, and that might happen after the third time when you fall, the fifth time, 20th time. And I mean, for me, certainly in certain companies, in certain ventures, we had we had 20 failures until we had a small success, and if we stop until 18, like we literally made 95% of the journey already, just getting kind of sad doing it. And sometimes just one or two more is all you need.
Exactly. And I've seen different realities of life as you. And indeed, the amount of failures and the amount of desperation that I've seen through entrepreneurial community is big. But the most important thing, and I always try to convey this to my clients, is that it's not only the result, it's not only the success, but that's the journey that is changing you.
Oh, yes.
Right? And maybe your very, very specific failure from the commercial point of view, from the numbers point of view, would be actually an enabler to changing who you are and shifting you that additional, 10, 15, 20%, that actually will enable you to reach success in your next endeavor. And imagine if you wouldn't have failed, you would never be able to do that next step. So when you say resilience, I think this is number one. You put that on the paper, put it on your mirror. It might not be easy. It might not be shiny every day, but if you continue walking and smiling, you'll get somewhere, 100%.
Yeah, and I think for me, it's, when you have the success, for me, it's very short-lived. Like I immediately want to jump to the next thing. And I think as an entrepreneur, at least for kind of my stereotype of entrepreneur, whatever that might be, right? It's really much more about the journey, actually. Like if you can wake up every day, build cool things, because to get to the positives, that's what we do, right? Build cool things. Means something different for everyone, but that's kind of the main driver, at least for me. And if you have that, I think you'll be fine in any case. Just go on the journey, try to enjoy it, really try to enjoy it. Take some time off sometimes go hard, sometimes don't go so hard. And yeah.
You see the beauty of where you are right now. You are already able to talk about the journey, not just from the position of, okay, I've read in the book, you need to embrace the journey, right? But you have seen so much that you actually know that this is just the way of life. This is the reality. And one thing is to know something technically, and another thing is to live that way, right? And it's like going to the gym, right? You go and you might not always like your runs and your cardio, but you know that this is just the part of the process. You cannot have a healthy body, a fit body, unless you endure the process, and the process is not always butterflies. So
that's a good and bad thing about me. I think I need to learn it by myself always, but when it's learned, it's solid. It stays. It's solid. But I don't believe someone when they tell me it's going to be like that. I have to go through it myself. And yeah, that might be different for you. That might be different for other people. But for me, really, if I go through the journey, no matter what I read before in any book, it's really about making your own picture, in a way.
Yeah. And the beauty of diversity of people is that there is no one size fits all in terms of growth and development. And for example, my key role as a executive coach is to figure out what works for every specific client. Somebody needs a little bit more hand-holding and motivation, and come on, you go, you do that. Somebody is a little bit more independent, and just in the area of, okay, let's figure out together what is the decision-making tree. But the beauty of having a growth partner by your side is that you, irrespectively how smart and intelligent you are, you see just your own perspective. And your own perspective is never right or wrong, but it's your perspective.
Yeah.
And you never have the full visibility. So for example, my biggest personal professional growth was also coming when I was working with my development guru, coach, you can call different ways. Because that person allowed me to see things that I have never thought about. It was painful. I have to be honest. It was painful, and I had to face the brutal reality. And then I was, oh my goodness, I thought I'm this, but I figured out I'm like this. As time goes, you become stronger, you become sharper. The areas where you were weak before, you make your strength. If you're resilient, if you're committed, if you're willing to do the job, because nobody will do the job for you. Nobody.
That's very true.
Has anyone ever done a job for you?
Not yet. Still hoping, but not yet.
Yes, maybe this day will come.
Probably not. But you think it's more about kind of nature or the nurturing? Can really the hard work in your field, you observe this, right? You have the founder, you have the executive coming to you. Do you have, in plain English, you have some idiots who really just grind, and really outperform the one that are a bit more gifted? Or is it usually, depending how you are born, it's going to go in this direction? Because for me, I have a clear opinion on that one. I'd love to hear yours first. But how do you see that, especially putting your coaching goggles on?
I have experienced different realities, and there is no one size fits all. You can see people who are incredibly persistent in doing something which, for example, they don't like. And just because they continue, repeat, resilient, they may reach incredible results. For me, however, the most important question is how to find out, first of all, what you truly love, understand it, and then put all of your focus and energy there. And this is where I believe the exponential growth of results is.
Yeah, it's something every entrepreneur learns, I think. When I started, I wanted to do everything and everywhere, right? Ideally all done by myself, because at first you think no one can do it as I do, which is of course not true, right? You might get 80, 90% of your own output. But in most cases, especially if you want to scale as an entrepreneur, that's got to be enough. But I think at the end, to kind of come back to the question, of course, you need a certain predisposition. Yes. But at the end, it's just you grind. You got to keep going, work. And I've actually seen many cases of, especially in the startup world where I kind of came from, of people not incredibly smart, lovely people, but not incredibly smart, but they really ended up at the top just because they started early mornings. They didn't stop until late nights. And they just did that for many, many years. And, in their niche, you can really achieve excellence there. Of course, you will be not master of the universe, knowing everything, but in your specific niche, if you grind, I think you will get there. And what's probably even more important is when you start your entrepreneurial journey, you, again, want to do everything. But before you start anything, that's what I always say to people, try to criticize your own kind of plan in 20 different ways. If you still want to do it, then go for it. But it's much more important to really boil down what do you actually want to do. And it's better to do 1 or 2 or 3 things versus 10 to 20 things. And really understanding, okay, what is the biggest leverage? 80-20 principle, right? At its best.
Yeah. And I like what you're saying a lot. What you want to do. And to me, this is one of the fundamental challenges that is on the table in front of every single person, not necessarily entrepreneur, every single person. Because let's be very honest, we have, say, 40, 50 years of active work time, right? I mean, you finish the university around 25, let's say, until
these days until 35, right?
Exactly. And then until 75, 80 you work. Wouldn't that be great if you would have spent all that time grinding through the things which is directionally something that you love? It's not necessarily to be 100% spot on, but at least 90, if you are 80, 90% spot on, and this is really making up your days bright, and you wake up, say, wow, I can do incredible things today. For me, this is where the juice of creativity and passion comes, and this is what propels you forward. And the challenge is very simple. We are not taught, neither in schools nor in universities, and actually by most of our families, nobody is asking, who would you like to become? What do you like to do in your life? What inspires you? What motivates you? What gives you passion? And I think this is a fundamental problem of our society that we need to fix. We need to fix that from a very, very young age. It's more decomposing what a person is and what's the best track to go. And then out of you can figure out that there are maybe 3, 4, 5 directional tracks to go. It doesn't mean you would be right, by the way. You might be totally wrong. But you start and you go and you always have that thermometer. Am I directionally in the place that brings me purpose, joy, happiness? Or I'm waking up every day and thinking, oh my goodness, what am I doing here? What kind of a job I'm doing? And then you can put all the grit in the world. But if you're not deeply satisfied, I think for me, this is the challenge. You can have the most incredible car, the most incredible house, and then you wake up every day like, so what? Is this everything I'm capable in life? So I'm a big advocate of figuring out what is almost meant for you.
And I mean, ideally, it should start in school, right? But at the same time, it's a thin line because not the whole world could or should become an entrepreneur, and vice versa. Not the whole world, not everyone should become just a regular worker. But we need this fine balance. And I mean, for now, the way the school system is designed, at least in Europe and in the States, in the West, right? It's really much more thrilled to, I mean, it literally comes from a time in Industrial Revolution, right, in the UK, where they were just basically breeding factory workers, right? Yeah. The clock at 9, it starts, you study, at 12, it's finished. And that's essentially how back then it was in the factories, right? And for me, it was, I mean, looking back, probably the current school system wasn't so much for me. Still kind of made my way through it, but I think probably now also with the rise of AI and with everything, right, where you can really get hyper personalized learning, hopefully at some point. I mean, not quite there yet, but hopefully at some point. There probably should be a mode where you have you can give every single kid the skill sets they need. One might, he wants to be a pilot, teach him that. Of course, not at very early on, but if he wants to go in that direction, teach him things relevant to that. Another one wants to become an entrepreneur. Will be a completely different skill set to someone who wants to become a gardener, to someone who wants to become this and that. And that's in a way the problem for now, at least in our current education system. It's really, there's one path, you go through it. And at the end, everyone is the same in a way. And I think for many entrepreneurs, podcasts, books, movies, whatever, helps them a lot to break out of that.
Yeah.
That's how it was for me. So in a way, I mean, it sounds so silly, but like 95% of the things I learned, like really business specific things, I literally learned from YouTube. As stupid as it sounds, And I can imagine that's the case for many people, actually.
Yeah.
And I just hope that now with the rise of AI, we can really get to this hyper personalized learning where the entrepreneurs can be entrepreneurs because it's a completely different skill set, right? The other people who want to do other things, they do that and then this and that. At the end, everyone is unique, right? And that's, we should find the thin line. We should find that somehow.
Yeah, I'm 100% with you. And there are a couple of ideas that are embedded deeply, I think, in the skin of society. And one of the ideas is it's either black or white, right? You are either an entrepreneur and then you dedicate your whole life here, or you go and you work for somebody. To me, the world is much more diverse. And especially with all the tools, with all the education, with all the change in technology that you have right now, the umbrella of what you can do is you can do 3, 4, 5 things in parallel. If you're capable, if you're committed, nobody asks you to become Elon Musk after 5 weeks. No, even being an entrepreneur, it's such a spectrum. Start somewhere, learn the skills, understand what is sales, understand what is marketing, understand what is negotiations, how to build your first business. Will it be successful or not? God knows. Next time you will be a totally different person. And this is, I believe, the next step for really many people globally, just to realize that it's not switch on, switch off one or another thing. It's integrating different things. And through integration, doing multiple things, you learn completely different skill sets. And they start to multiply. And this compounding effect is actually what takes you really to the next level. By the end of the day, you can decide always what you want to stop, what do you want to continue. But as soon as you go with a reasonable speed and you challenge yourself, you open up yourself, I promise you, you will find something where you would say, wow, this is where my heart is. And when you get this feeling, you cannot forget it.
Yeah, it's like when finding a wife. If you know, it's the same in business. Like you
just
go,
for the record, we have incredible wives.
Of course. But it's really the same thing, kind of like you literally meet that person or you meet that business opportunity, and the same day, this is it.
Yeah.
And if you don't have that, if it's not a hell yes, then you shouldn't do it. If anything in life is not a hell yes, if it's just we can do it, probably you shouldn't go for it, because just the way will be so hard that if it's not a hell yes, you probably don't have the justification to keep going. Yeah. And that's kind of the first filter you need to pass, I think. And probably that's also what you see in coaching, right?
I might disagree on this one a little bit with you.
I love that.
Yeah. And there are reasons to support you. There are reasons to support different perspective. I totally get the hell yes idea. Absolutely. In my world, in my experience, it's just the journey, right? And you may not have a hell yes idea, but as soon as you're committed to go and explore and to put your skin in the game and grow out of it, you're already much better.
I think it's, I mean, if you don't have the hell yes, going on the path can get you to the point where you will probably find the hell yes. But at some point, it should be a hell yes to really go all in, right?
Here I'm with you.
Yeah.
Here I'm with you. What I'm saying is that you cannot expect that you can have a hell yes idea the moment when you want it. Maybe it's the 10th idea on your journey,
especially with experience. Actually.
Exactly.
Like a lot of my business ideas, looking back now, I really laugh. Like those were not good ideas. At the time, I thought, Enrico, you're a genius. But now in retrospect, it's very easy with experience to falsify your initial ideas, actually. And that just takes time. I think everyone has to go through their journey and learn and fail and learn and fail and learn until you really go to the glory, I think.
Have you heard there was a very famous experiment? So there were two groups of painting students, artists. So the task for one group was to create 100 different paintings. 100. Quality was not important at all. So just create 100 paintings. For the second group, the challenge was you need to create one perfect painting. So which group do you think increased their drawing skill more?
Well, definitely the first one.
Absolutely.
Repetition.
Absolutely. Yeah. Repetition. Because it's funny, right? You almost put away that component of quality and you just do.
Yeah.
And whatever you do in life 100 times, most probably you will become better, right? Versus that second group that was so stressed and put into that one perfect painting. And for me, this is a great metaphor of life. Whatever you do, it's like, I'm almost quoting Mr. Beast, who was saying, your first 100 videos on YouTube,
they're gonna suck.
they will be disgusting. And the point is not the production of a great video. The point is learning the skill, right? Becoming a person who is comfortable on camera, building the credentials. So I would always say, if I will have to pick a pony, I would pick a pony from the first group, because this is where I think resilience and grit and repetition really change the rules of the game.
Yeah, and imperfection is actually a beautiful thing. Like for me on my path, as soon as I just let go of the perfection, because I had this really perfectionist view for the longest time. And it holds you back, I think, because instead on a thing that could be done within an hour, you spend 5 hours. And that just doesn't scale. And probably the things you see in that thing that you spend 5 hours on, other people are literally not going to see it. You know, like the last 3% that takes so much time, you will see it because you have a trained eye, but they will probably not see it. So for me, these days, I really try to go push hard, but then also know when it's good enough, you know, in a way. And this, I would say, as an entrepreneur, almost brought me to a next level. You know, it kind of goes into a topic also of delegation. Like when you start, you're a solo entrepreneur, right? You're hyper stressed because you do everything, and you need to let go. And letting go means accepting imperfection in a way, because yes, the person you're going to delegate this thing might have a different view, not better, not worse, but in your opinion, just different. And that might not be 100% what you would do, but it will be great enough, I think, to really, to bring it home.
What was the tipping point for you to really get out of that perfection? Because we're working together for quite some time, and I see you growing. What was the facilitator? What was the catalyst?
Well, I think at some point when the backlog of things you would need to do, you know, it just grows. Every Sunday, usually I sit down and just plan the next week, right? Kind of trying to consolidate all my projects into one backlog of things I will do this week. And at some point, it just gets so crowded in there that you need to do 3 hours. You need to understand, okay, yes, I could spend 3 hours of my 5, 6, 7 days that I want to work on this one thing. But if I kind of do 80-20 principle on those things, it will probably be good enough actually for the most things. And I can get 10 times more things done. So for me, it kind of was, okay, if I want to now scale what I'm doing, just things coming in from clients, from the team, from whatever, I needed to kind of do this triage mode. And that's, yeah, at some point you just need to let go of the perfection. You need to try. For me, it's actually very hard, quite frankly. But yeah, maybe even still learning this skill, probably. I mean, every year when you look back, it's like, wow, you were a complete idiot, right, 1 year ago. And it just keeps repeating, right, in a way. But that's how it was for me. How it was for you?
Well, I can tell you from the work that I have with my clients, it's not an easy topic. And when you talk about perfectionism, it's not only your internal perspective, but obviously if you do something which is world facing, you want things to look good really on the first attempt, because we are almost trained like this. The world does not come and say, hey, just do and improve as you go. No. Whatever standards we're being exposed to, those are high standards that are put by our families, by the society around. So funny enough, a small thing becomes sometimes a big problem, right? And when in terms of the mindset, when you start thinking about it, I cannot be 4 out of 5. I should be 5 out of 5 on every moment. What happens? You start to procrastinate, because you can never be 100% excellent.
Been there.
And as soon as you start procrastinate, this is when all this incredibly negative behavior comes. You open up your phone, I'm going to spend 5 minutes on the Instagram, and then the day is gone and you have 12 hours screen time. So the only antidote to this is just action. Nobody... People think that whatever they do, the whole world will see and look, oh my goodness, this is imperfect. The reality is nobody cares the way you think they do, right? The only enemy you are trying to fight with is yourself. And as soon as you are able to win that battle, the opportunities in front are endless.
I think that's an incredible insight. Everyone just literally cares for themselves when it comes down to really what it is, right? They really focus on themselves first. Might be a good thing, might be a bad thing, but that's just how it is. So they will not even spot your imperfection because they're so focused on their own imperfections, I think that's why probably the greatest entrepreneurs can really get away with that and really thrive under this. And it's a good segue into my next question. The topic of being obsessed with something, hopefully a healthy obsession, right? So some call it passion, but I've certainly been there myself, where it's a thin line towards kind of workaholism, right? Where you push. At first it feels like, wow, this is great. I could do this all day, all night, no worries. And then at some point it switches for whatever reason into really, wow, I feel drained. I'm sure this is something you navigate a lot, right, with your clients. How do you approach this? Where's the line? What's kind of the factor that you see, like in people? Okay, this is clearly you're doing too much. You need to step out of it. It's hyper individual, of course. So how do you approach this when you coach people through those phases?
If you open YouTube, it will give you millions of gurus that talk about balance and not going into extremes, and making sure that things are very, very nicely, connected all together. I don't believe any of that. I genuinely believe that any kind of growth comes from you going beyond any comfort zones. Growth is really coming through burnouts and you really sitting without any energy because you have worked so hard. The beauty of life and the beauty of growth is it's never static. Everything happens in circles. And there is always, in whatever you do, there are always 4 stages. The stage when you're really excited about what you do and you are wow. The second stage is when things start to slow down a little bit. It's like nothing is going on, and I don't even know if I still have passion to do the thing I do. The third stage is the worst stage. It's that stage where you start questioning yourself. Really, is everything going on? Am I designed for that?
Yeah.
And that's a tough moment. It's a tough moment for you to reassess who you are, what you do, but those moments are integral. No growth come without that important stage.
Yeah.
And this stage is not surprisingly called from caterpillar, turning from caterpillar to a butterfly, or cocooning stage, is where you break yourself into pieces. And out of those pieces, you are reborn into a new human being with the new ambitions, with the new desires. This is just an upward spiral, and you can never avoid some stages where you will be alone, crying, not figuring out what's going on, desperate, depressed. But that's the best place to be.
Of course. And it's really, I mean, when you go through the first time, you're like, oh wow, that's the end, right? Then the second time, okay, I've seen this before. It still sucks. Third time around, it's a bit better now, I think. Fourth time, we're like, I know what will come after, you know. And then fifth and sixth time, and probably hundreds of times, right, within a lifetime, easily hundreds of times. I mean, I think every person, doesn't even matter, entrepreneur, not entrepreneur. I'm sure I mean, at least me, I have this a couple of times a year where you think, wow, is this the right path? And it's funny, like the moment when you're down the most, the next day you wake up like a reborn. It's weird in a way, almost like you're the amount of badness you felt before is then the greatness you feel the next morning, just by letting it go sometimes. And that might be all the secret, just going through the stages, accepting it, keep pushing, and going through the stages, and not just getting stuck in there. Right? Just keep going through those stages, because the worst thing, I mean, is you getting stuck in one of those stages. Because the way I look at it, I mean, literally everything in life is temporary, right? Literally life is temporary. We might not be here in 70, 80 years, most likely not, right? I mean, okay, depending how AI and biology will work together, but let's assume human lifespan is 100 years. It's really temporary, everything. Like even daily life is temporary. And just accepting that and going through it and not getting stuck, this, I think, is the key, at least for me.
Yeah, I love this one, because it blends a lot of philosophical things, like physics, spiritual things, around the idea that world is not static, right? And every moment is different. And sometimes you're on top, the famous wheel of life. Sometimes you're on top, sometimes you're at the bottom. You're a king here, you're in dirt here. But it always rolls. And you remember we were playing together Lila game. Lila game is a great metaphor, that those 72 places on the board, those are different states of a human being. And the fun thing that with every move you change, and you always change. You are never in the same place alone. So the idea of whatever happens with me right now will stay forever is just alien idea to the way the world works, right? Every wave has its ups and downs. So you might feel incredibly happy today. Well, great for you. It will change. It's like, you remember the ring of King Solomon. Everything will pass. This will pass as well.
Oh, this Lila game. I think I must probably hold the record for fastest completion of a Lila game in the history of mankind.
I think you do.
Like, for the viewers who don't know it, like, it's literally a game where you have a dice, right? And it's kind of like the game of life. You need to go up, and if you go on the wrong field, you go all the way down again. I probably finished it in, what was it, 1 hour, 1.5 hours? So some ridiculous low amount, right? And it was almost strange, because you were playing with me, right, with the group. We were in Bali, and I think you literally rolled the dice 20, 30 times.
It took me 6 hours to start the game.
Yeah, that was insane.
And that's the beauty, and this is what really intrigued me at that moment, because you were coming with a very, very specific mindset. And I remember it incredibly well. You were coming with a mindset, I will win.
Yeah.
And you just crushed it. And by the way, it wasn't an easy ride for you, I remember.
It was terrible, actually.
But you crushed it. And
Yeah.
for me, that specific example is a great metaphor of everything that we have discussed right now, just really encapsulated in a couple of hours game.
Yeah.
You had your ups, then you had your downs. You didn't cry. You had your resilience, and you just won. And that's a mindset thing. Right? And as soon as you create that kind of mindset for yourself inside, it's not outside, then you can change the world around you. So it was a great experience.
Yeah, it's strange. Like if you really believe whatever, like if you really believe, not just you tell yourself, but you literally believe X is going to happen, that's going to happen. And that's weird. Sometimes like weird stuff happens where you think, okay, I really believe it and I'm going to get it. And you're so sure that a couple of months later you have it. And for me, I literally had it already probably 10, 15 times in different spheres, right? Sometimes in love, sometimes in business. Like, kind of think of it and really believe it, really understand that you believe it in your whole body.
Yeah.
And to me, then the things just magically flow. And then you ask, okay, how the hell does that work, right? Is there something above us? Is it just is it just luck? Like you go through life and then you kind of focus on that part and then it happens because you were focusing on it, or is there something else? I'm sure this is something that you hear a lot, right? You believe, you actually achieve.
Absolutely. And you wouldn't be surprised that when I was doing my professional coaching education, this was one of the core models. And it was called Masterful Mindset. And there were a couple of big ideas integrated in this one. First is the idea of lenses. We all see the world through our own lenses. Your lens is different than mine, and we may be looking at the same thing. And you will see an opportunity and I will see the challenge. Who's right? Nobody.
Everyone and no one.
Exactly, everyone and no one. And this is also where they say a so-called law of attraction, right? It's a very metaphorical, metaphysical thing, but let's not make it more complicated. You create your own reality through focusing on something. And when you focus on things that are great, opportunities, excitement, somehow those kind of things materialize in your life.
And the people. I think the right people around you is probably 70% of your success.
True.
Really, that's something I see when you enter the right crowds. Things get unlocked you didn't understand before. And before it was impossible to get to somewhere, right? And with the right people, the journey is just smooth. Like you just go and you're going like on this wild hunt together and it just works.
Yeah. And that's the beauty that we observed many, many times. As soon as even we get together as a group, and we may all be totally different people with different experiences, backgrounds, ways of seeing the world, logics. But as soon as we start sitting and mingling, incredible ideas pop up. Doesn't necessarily mean that all of them will be realized, but it just works as a multiplicator. So really that power of community, I think the phrase that we have spoken 20 times over the last months has so much power like never before.
Yeah.
As they famously say, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together.
Yeah. And that's something I always read about it, in all the founders' book is like, okay, your peer group, right? This is very important to pick, and your wife, of course. And I didn't believe it until I really had it, like the effect this has with the right people, right? Wife and peer group, it catapults you into new dimensions that before you were like, well, that's a bit far-fetched. And then you have those people around you. It's, well, that sounds doable. I think we can get there together. I know this guy. He can help me. He knows that guy. He can also help me. And then you just, you really go and execute on your purpose. And I think that's a good segue into kind of the next line of question.
Can I add on this one? Because this is incredibly important for me. And I always scare people a little bit when I start working by saying that if you want to grow, you will most probably lose all of your current friends. And this is genuinely true because I take your words, your current circle really defines from many, many perspectives who you are, how you think, where your focus is. And I'm saying this not because I read this in nice books and now telling you the stories. When I decided to grow personally, I had to literally cut the connections with all of my friends. And I was alone for 1.5 years. I had nobody. And it was incredibly discomforting place. Why I cut the connections with those people? Not because they're bad. Nice guys. And I, with most of them, I spent 15, 20 years together. But I just realized that I am where I am partially because of my peer group. And peer group is not something you can buy in the shop. You need to build it. And the only way you can build it is through becoming someone else. Because if you would be already, around the biggest and the best people in the world, well, then most probably you are fine the way you are. And I believe we all can grow. And as soon as a person you grow, you find out, wow, you start attracting new people, great people who bring incredible ideas with whom you see, they're like, wow, could that be that cool?
Yeah.
But it's almost imperative to lose some, or in some cases, most of your friends. Be ready for that.
Unfortunately, yeah. And I think a good metaphor for this is actually, we kind of all have our frequency wave, that we give out and also receive. And unless you really can rewire yourself to maybe, hopefully, a higher one up, right? You're going to attract that. And it's, sometimes it happens in a week. Sometimes it happens in an instant. Sometimes it happens in a year and 2 years. It's really about being open to new things, I think. Maybe also questioning yourself. Okay, where I am right now, is this the right path for me? Am I happy? If yes, great. Because I think for every person, happiness means something else, right? For us, it might be in the business context, family. For other people, it might literally be travel. It might be anything, right? And I think as long as people can really find their purpose and their own happiness, the world's going to be a good place. Because the wars, the hate in our world doesn't come from happy people. Like a fully happy person would never do anything bad to anyone else. Yeah, I think this is really what we should aim for now as a society. And it's an interesting topic actually also with the rise of AI. I mean, things are going to change. A lot of jobs that we have right now are literally not going to exist. Not all, and not so fast, probably. Probably faster than we think though, but not so fast. And we just need to be ready for that, to really find this purpose. And for many people, this is a difficult question. What is your purpose if you don't have your work? Like, if you could choose, what would you do without having to worry about whatever, the money, the fame, the everything? What would it be that you would actually be doing? And funnily enough, most people don't have don't have the answer for that.
Yeah, true. Funny enough, they don't only have an answer for that. Sometimes they don't even think they need an answer.
Oh yes, they don't even think in that direction.
Sometimes they don't even have a question.
Yeah.
Right. Why? Because the way the society operates, it makes people do certain things. Right. This is why consumption, get yourself a nice car, the bigger house, flex. This is what is supported overall. But what we can see right now, I think, again, on the brink of that tectonic change with AI, with changing the world order, it becomes more important to listen what's inside you. And even when you start, the journey of figuring out your purpose, how do you do that?
Yeah.
How do you do that? It's not that you have a course in university, how to find your purpose. Sure. You have all the courses in the world, accounting, marketing, branding, but not what you really want.
Anything but what matters.
Exactly. And it takes some energy and courage to start thinking about that.
Oh, yes.
And when you start thinking about that, that's already a first step. Then you need to go through a certain journey. And it's not black and white. It's a journey of discovery of your
different
purpose.
for everyone also.
Absolutely. And the point is, that's the beauty. Not everyone is born to be an entrepreneur. Not everyone is born to work in in public service. But if as many people as possible would be in the right places, I think that would make the world, a much better place.
I think this is really the tricky thing the next 50 years, in this day and age, because now things will go fast. People, like the world will probably change as in ways we haven't seen before, right? I have a bit of an AI background with my company, so it's really remarkable how fast it goes. Like literally 1 month ago was different than today. 1 year ago was completely different, right? And I can only imagine how it will be in half a year, in a year, in 2, 3, 4, 5 years. If you extrapolate that to infinity, change is coming, definitely. We don't know when, we don't know how, but I think we slowly start to get an idea. And probably we'll get into a world where really the machines can do the work we do not want to do. We can monetize that, of course. So there will be kind of growth because of that, which is beautiful, because people will be able to hopefully go back to what they actually want. Because most people are, I would say, are not fully satisfied just in their day-to-day life, right? And that's a lot of time just because the basic need, money, is not met. And I think if we can now go into this AI age where really, as stupid as it sounds, but that's what's going to happen. The artificial intelligences they are going to kind of be productive in our work society, kind of literally increase our GDP and what have you. That's gonna still bring us money, and the people will be able to hopefully find their passion. And this is a topic I would like to explore a bit with you, because it's really imminent. Change is coming, and in your coaching framework, you have an interesting approach to really finding the passion, the purpose, the why. Why are you doing this?
Yeah, as you speak, I started recalling a quote from Alice from the Wonderlands. I'm sure you remember that episode when Alice is like, "How can I go that specific place?" I think it was the cat, right? How is this cat?
It's been years, but I remember what you mean.
So the cat is, "Where you want to go?"
Yeah.
He says, "I don't care." Then you can go anywhere, you will end up somewhere. And for me, this is a great metaphor of the question that you need to ask yourself: where you want to go, where you want to be. And there are fancy concepts, how you can call it, life by design, life purpose. Doesn't really matter how you call it. It's more, do I more go south? Do I more go north in my life? Why this is important? You can call it purpose, mission, passion, doesn't matter. Because this is the most central thing that stays inside you forever.
It's what gets you up in the morning, literally.
Exactly, because technological revolution will be like a wind blowing things in the world. AI will change things. The skill set which is required will change. So imagine a small ship in the sea full of tornadoes. And your small ship signifies you without a purpose, without a compass. So ideally, when you know where you're going, you become that big ship that can withstand the changes. Because every day you wake up and you know, irrespectively what's going on outside, you have that center line which is guiding you in big terms in your life. I think this is the most powerful thing you can have.
But like, to get practical, let's say entrepreneur comes into your coaching, or even anyone, not even entrepreneur, just someone comes into your coaching and they feel this emptiness. They do something right now. It might bring them money, it might not. Doesn't even matter, but they don't feel like this is it.
Yeah.
Like, what's, let's say, I don't know, the first 3 practical steps you take them through? Like, how do you approach this? Is this usually one session? Is this a process? Probably a process. But what's kind of if you are the small ship, how can you become the big one?
First of all, I love a lot the way you said it, because you use the verb feel. Those kind of things, they are really on the level which you just feel. And you most probably know very well how our psyche works. It has conscious, it has semi-conscious, it has subconscious level. Your subconscious, which is really the depth of who you are, your higher self, you can call it different ways, knows everything, because I genuinely believe that every one of us, when we're born, we are already on a certain track. So the only challenge is how to figure out which track it is. And for example, what I do is a very structured, systematic exercise, which is called creating your life purpose. When over a couple of steps, and literally you can do that in 2 hours, you see 5-6 sentences that actually give you the best possible idea of what's your purpose in life. So I always give that metaphor. Imagine before coming to Earth, you would be, like in Matrix, in this white place, and you would have 1 million white pieces of paper. And on every one piece of paper, you would have 5-6 very, very different lines that would just talk through what you will achieve in life. And you run through all of them and you see the one which is wow.
And
wow, if I come to the Earth, this is exactly what I want to do. So that specific exercise is really designed for you to do that. And you know where you start in that exercise?
Well, I assume from the blank page.
Yes.
Yeah.
The first question is, you really look back into your life and you put 12 to 15 moments when you felt like you are living in full alignment with your life purpose. Felt like, if you would, I don't know, I will ask you a question. Give me one example. What was the moment in your life when you felt 100% that you are living in full alignment with your life purpose mission?
It's actually an easy one to answer because we have literally done this exercise, so I can just give you the example. It's when I started to work in Switzerland, and things started to work out slowly, but basically all I knew was work. You wake up, you work, you go to sleep, and I was just literally grinding. I was grinding, and then for the first time, I canceled my apartment. Actually, I was like, hey, look, found this new apartment in this cool building. Turned out to be complete crap, by the way, but that's a different story. And then I was like, okay, apartment will be available. I think it was in May, and now it's, what was it, maybe June, July, August, whatever. Let me just cancel my current apartment. Let me just travel. Let's see where we'll end up. And I remember the moment actually very, very well. It was on one of those first travels when we were in Bali. I was on the back of a scooter, literally with the Gojek guy. Gojek is like the local app that you have there, right, for transportation, food, and anything. And was just looking outside, and I was like, wow, this is kind of what you could have, like just jungle around you, left side, right side, great people, great vibes, great food, great everything. And for me, this was like, wow, okay, you work hard, you kind of go travel the world, you see the world, you see what you love, you see what you like. And that might not even sound so crazy amazing, but back then, I don't know, it was like kind of this catalyst moment where I felt, wow, this is great. Things are actually starting to work in the direction where I want to be. And that was very, very powerful for me.
What was the most valuable for you at that moment, at that motorbike? What made really that second so impactful for you?
No, just understanding that you work hard and you play hard. If you work incredibly hard, why do it, right? Why push every single day? It's to enjoy, right? It's to really then also relax a bit and enjoy and see the beauty of the world. And just at that point in time, I mean, course, I traveled a bit as a kid, but you don't really remember the things, right?
Yeah.
You really start to remember when it's, okay, it's your own money, it's your own travels, it's your own life, it's your own direction. And that's when you start to understand, okay, if I put in the work, I can have nice things. And that's, again, different for everything, right? And even before I tried it with other things, with watches, with cars, and it feels nice, yes, for a week, but it's once again temporary, right?
Mm-hmm.
It feels lovely, but it feels temporary at the same time. And that was kind of the first time when, okay, it feels like the world is yours, and I could be in Bali, I could be in the US, I could be in beautiful Switzerland, where we're from, right?
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter. As long as I have my laptop, I can work from there and really achieve great things while meeting great people, traveling to great places, eating new food. That was just a new emotion I didn't feel before. You know, no watch, no car, no nothing could unlock that before.
What was the emotion?
I don't know, just a smile on your face.
Yeah.
Just a smile. The word can't describe it.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
smile on your face. And once again, if you know, you know. And
Yeah.
in that moment, you knew.
Yeah. And you see, you are talking about this moment.
Yeah.
I have goosebumps because there is so much energy. And that's exactly how the exercise is structured, right? You know very well what moments in your life brought that incredible emotions, brought incredible energy, brought you that ideas. Wow, I can be this and I can do that. And as soon as you go through a set of those kind of situations, you start to see commonalities. You start to see what is really important for you in life. And it doesn't matter what kind of real life situation it is. What's important is what are the values and what are the emotions behind. I can give you a personal example. For me, one of the best moments that I can say, wow, at those moments I'm living my life 100% with purpose, is when I support people growth. You know, for example, when I hold a webinar for 100 people on finding life purpose, this is where I say, wow, it cannot be better. Because through my work, I'm changing the lives of people. And I know that I'm making the world a better place. And for every single human being in the world, I promise you, that exercise will look very, very different. And as soon as you go through those situations and you distill those values, those meanings, those words, you end up with the building blocks of a story. And it's a 5-6 sentence story. And you almost like a Lego constructor. You blend those words in a way which will never be repeated by anyone else on this planet. And you come up to something and you read it and say, wow, this is what I want to do in life.
So in a way, you try to extrapolate and generalize from the past what made you feel how you want to feel. That might be different for everyone, right? And then kind of take that as building blocks to then craft the future you actually want to have.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the situations, they may be sometimes funny and ridiculous. One of the situations from my life is when I was a kid and I was dressed like a bunny in a school theater and I was on stage. And I was 5 years old, but somehow this moment on stage was for me the moment worth of gold. How can you understand that in 5 years old? Logically, you cannot.
Dressed as a bunny.
Exactly. But somehow you feel it. I know that idea of being on stage, showing with my own example that you can do things, you can achieve, is with me. And I'm not 6 years old anymore, but that still inspires me. So those moments, they are with you forever. Those values, they are embedded 3 years old, 12 years old, 20 years old, doesn't matter. As soon as you decode what's behind those great moments, you can create your life purpose. And this is how you start a more meaningful journey towards where you want to be.
And this stuff really works, actually. I mean, we've been all together in Bali, right? We did a kind of small retreat there. And we did this exercise. And it's really interesting. Like, you end up with something that you didn't think would be there. You know, in a way, you go through life, you have your thing, and you think you know your goals and your vision for the future and everything. But than when you actually kind of do it empirically and, you know, get data points from the past, because that's the only thing we have, right? As a human, it ends up being something completely different. And for me, I was shocked. I mean, also kind of when you then transform this into goal setting, you know, it's, for me, this year was kind of a switch from, okay, let's work, to let's work very hard, probably much harder than most people, but let's also really plan enjoyment kind of into it. You know, let's plan chill. Let's plan, if I wake up a day and I don't know, it's Thursday and I already had a great week so far, and day is just not the morning where I feel like doing whatever I'm about to do, then I just relax and it's okay. And then maybe Saturday will be the day, maybe Sunday. And it's really much more about the energy levels than just, okay, 9 to 5 and doing this and that. And that's kind of how you can navigate this, I think.
Yeah. And the importance of having that purpose through whatever exercise that works for you, obviously there are much more, is to make sure that you have that North Star, right? Because when you see that, you can go a little bit left, a little bit right in your life, but you know where you're going. Yeah. You don't wake up with the question, why am I even doing the things that I have in my schedule today? You know very, very well. Long-term, massive impact on your happiness levels, on your success, on your social dynamics. Because as soon as you are clear where you want to go, funny enough, you attract the same minded people. And then you just go together as a group and it's much funnier, right? Yeah. And again, I can just quote my own personal example. With a group of my friends with whom I have been from the university, I didn't even know after 15 years what specifically they do work-wise. This is, you know, we lacked depth in some levels. Yeah. Which were incredibly meaningful for me. Yeah. We were not sitting and supporting each other. How do we create opportunities? What can we do together? It was very like, let's have a beer. Yeah. And this is why I'm incredibly proud that through the work that I have done on myself, I was able to get access to the new group of people, which is incredibly encouraging, incredibly motivating. Those people know more than me in so many areas that every day I take my notebook and learn. And this is amazing because this is how we all support each other growth.
Yeah. Together you're stronger, I think. But at the same time, self-doubt, you know, as a topic, like let's say you have your purpose, it's aligned, you have your goals, it's aligned. Some people might not be so full of confidence yet. I think it comes with experience and time, but they might not be there yet. How do you navigate that? Because I think this is one factor that can really limit you in massive ways. And I'm curious if you really see this factor of self-doubt in a system of a coaching case. Yeah. How do you navigate away from that? Like what's literally the path or the way to give this person the energy to get out of that?
Yeah. It's a great question. Can I ask you back?
I don't like where this is going.
What do you think is first, confidence or action?
Confidence or action? Well, I never thought about that actually. Probably for most people, it's first they try to gain the confidence and then they get the energy to act. But probably it should be the other way around, where you just do it, you figure it out, you will be imperfect, things will fail, and then through that you get the confidence. It's kind of like the chicken and egg problem.
And this is one of the most important mindset things we all need to understand. There is really a general belief that, okay, you know what, I assemble a jar of confidence and then I do something.
No.
Absolutely not. It works really upside down. Yeah. Confidence is the result of you making actions, being imperfect, learning, getting into your fears,
failing massively,
and understanding that I'm still alive.
Yeah.
I'm still okay. Yeah. And this is where your confidence comes from. So everything I always wrap up around this topic with my clients, it's action. Action. And I say it nicely.
Yeah.
You can run towards your purpose. You can walk towards your purpose.
Just move.
You can move
moving.
towards. You can even lie in the direction of your purpose. Just do something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Any step is better than you sitting and doing nothing, because doing nothing produces nothing.
Yeah.
Any action produces result, learnings, experience, your internal courage. And this is what's important.
Actually, we have a common friend. He once read this book. I believe it was Atomic Habits.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. But literally, like, I was laughing with him or at him or however you want to call it. He went to the gym.
Yeah.
When he didn't feel like it at all, he went to the gym to drink a smoothie. Because in his mind was like, I went to the gym, it was a success. And the next day he went again. Maybe still just to drink a smoothie. And the third day, maybe he went to actually work out. So for him, really any step, even if it sounds a bit ridiculous, right? For him, it was great. And now actually he's one of the most consistent people I know. He literally goes and crushes it no matter what. He has like his Apple Watch, his Whoop, his Oura Ring, all in one. He's like a cyborg at this point. But it's, I think anything is better than nothing. Assuming you go into the right direction, of course.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that idea of habits is really critical and integral.
Oh, yes.
We are humans of habits. Habits define 90-95 thing of what we do. And as with negative and both with positive habits, you don't see the change immediately, right? If I go to the gym once, if I go to the gym twice, nothing changes. Only your body hurts. But if you do the same go to the gym for a year, you would be a totally different person. Yeah. The same as if you would be eating a piece of pizza every evening. You would be a totally different person.
That's what I do.
Exactly. So the point is, and this is also a very important mindset shift that people need to understand, is that you never change your habits radically. Because as soon as you change your habits radically, your body starts fighting, your body or your mental starts fighting back. Because the organism is like, whoa, what's going on? Alarm, alarm, alarm. Things are changing. So smart people know one thing, that our brain will not tolerate will not see the difference, which is below 10%. So if you change something very, very small, it's almost passing the alarm system. And when you pass the alarm system, you don't see those mechanisms which hold you back. So the smartest people change in small incremental steps.
Absolutely. And just, how I do it, I just have a daily recurring task. Even if I don't do that on that day, I mark it as tick, just because I know, okay, at least I thought about it. At least I thought about it. And the next day I will do it. The next day I will go even harder, even more, and even further. But just really having a trackable, kind of empirical way of, okay, I'm going to do this, and being reminded without effort. This is really the key to successful habits. And even just making it smooth. I'll give you an example. Every morning I drink my greens, right? The greens are where they need to be. Yeah. I don't need to take them out. They are already there. They are there. I know, I go there, open the pouch, drink it, I'm done, right? So kind of enabling yourself into this frictionless world where you can just navigate through and just crush your habits, basically. This is the key.
But this is atomic habits in its paradigm.
Yeah.
Say, you need to make it sexy.
Oh, yeah.
You need to make it easy. So if you want to change the habit to drinking more water, well, good luck. Put water everywhere in your apartment, near your computer, in the kitchen, in the bathroom, near the bed. It just becomes available. Or make it so nice, get yourself $150 nice tumblers that you are so emotionally attracted to that moment. Why people buy good gym wear? Because as soon as you feel yourself great, you want to spend more time there, and you need to obviously on the other side minimize the friction as much as possible. Make it easy, change.
Yeah. What's like the amount of times you need to do it? I think, is it like 45 days until the habit forms?
Yeah, something there. There are
like
different
that, right?
numbers, 23 in a row, 49 in a row. But the logic behind it's not about the number of days. It's about gradual change. If you are eating pizzas and salamis for the whole of your life, you cannot just switch to salads, because in 2 days you would feel yourself as miserable. You will fall on your sofa. You will get sick. Trust me. Human body knows how to fight back you. Mentally, the same thing. So you trick and you change step by step. There is no alarm system you create inside, and in 2 months you're a different person.
What are your habits these days?
Oh my goodness, that's
the good ones.
That's a tough. Asking this question after a New Year break is a challenge. I start running right now. The funny thing is with running, I always hated running. Absolutely hated. For me, that was the most boring thing. And I found my own way how I motivate. So I run on a treadmill, and I use
in the gym.
In the gym, yes. And I use those recorded videos, like 25, 30, 35 minutes, with a guy who is running, with a coach. And I don't know why, but this motivates me so much. Somewhere by minutes 20, I start to feel a little bit tired. And this person is like, okay, I'm with you. We do it together. I mean,
hell yeah.
I'm not gonna give up. I'm not gonna give up. So it just works for me. And obviously I like to go in the most incredible gym that exists in the city. I dress nicely because I feel myself, if I do the sports, I do it in a nice way.
Of course.
It works, right? It works for me.
Yeah.
What's yours?
A couple of things. I mean, I love my ice bath, as you know. Right now, I just bought this steel ice bath, and now when outside the temperature kind of goes below 5 degrees in Switzerland in winter, right? A bit of snow is laying. I have to break, maybe 10 to 20 centimeters of ice every morning, and that's kind of beautiful. So I do this. Try to take my greens every day. That's just the frictionless thing, like. My micronutrients. That's if you don't have that, you're gonna be in trouble. I try to form the habit, not so successful yet, but I'm still working on it with the breath work. I used to do many years of meditation, transcendental meditation. Now I kind of found the breath work to be even stronger. It gets me faster where I need to be, and I would say that's kind of my holy trinity. Then of course also a bit of sports. I wouldn't say it's a habit. I mean, it is in a way. Basically, every Monday I get my task automated. Book your sports sessions. I book it. I do it, not because I want, but just because I have to. And when you're there, it's always fun. And but I also not try. I try not to over-engineer that. But
that was an easy an easy answer. Okay, let me put you on a hot seat. Which habit you want to change in 2025? Let's go ballistic.
Change. So
change.
So a habit that I have right now.
The habit that you're not happy with, that you want to change.
Probably getting more consistent on the breath work.
Okay.
I do it maybe once or twice a week. Probably ideally would be 3 or 4, something like that, because I feel absolutely amazing after. Like it's like a magic pill that I have. It's really insane. Like the way you feel when I do this, it's like this metaphor you just had, where kind of your subconsciousness is this very still thing and beautiful. On top, there's the ocean, very wavy, very choppy. Usually we're always on top, right? And sometimes it's good weather, sometimes it's bad weather. We can't control it. But like with something like ice bath and breath work and stuff like that, you can really predictively go into this subconscious level. There's no waves. 20 meter under the ocean, there's no waves there. Just complete stillness, calm.
Yeah.
And that for me, when my days really, I push, this is something I probably could improve upon. Yeah.
Cool.
And you?
Nice. Oh my goodness, breath work, I love it. I think I need to do more of that. And this is where I believe actually another important ingredient in building a habit comes, because it works like magic all the times, is accountability partnership.
Absolutely.
Right? When you have a group of friends, people, relatives who support you in something, it's a totally different story.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And once again, I'm saying, don't be a lonely warrior. Find a group of people, peers, friends, who would be your accountability partners, who will call you up and say, hey, Enrico,
keep pushing. Don't
are you,
stop.
are you pushing, right? Because once again,
Yeah.
you want to go fast, go alone. You want to go far, go together.
Yeah.
It's your commitment to yourself. It's your commitment to the group, but it's also everyone else's commitment to the group and to you. And okay, you know, we're all human beings. I can close my eyes on myself, but I would never be able to let you down if we agreed on something. And that's such a powerful thing.
Absolutely.
So just use it properly. It's gonna take you in a totally incredible place.
That's why it's great. We have our Whoop group, right? So we wear this band. I wear it here right now, and it basically tracks everything. It tracks your sport, tracks your sleep, tracks how relaxed you are, tracks how stressed you are, tracks pretty much everything, right? Your heart rate variability, probably 20 more things I don't understand. But we have this group. You're part of that too, right? And every single day I can look in there and I see, today Andrey compromised a bit on his sleep. He just slept for 5 hours. He should be sleeping 8 hours. Or today this person was really crushing the sports. Why? Maybe I should do it too, right? Today that person has low stress in their life. I wonder what they're doing. Let me call them. Let me figure it out.
Yeah.
For me, this is fantastic. You know, when you have empirical data, how are you doing? How is it working? Combined with this, I don't want to use the word peer pressure, but in a way, the word peer motivation, because you look at each other and you're like, wow, if this guy gets this in the gym, what can I do? You know, I'm hopefully even better. You know, it's like this healthy competition, you know, in a good way where it lifts everyone up. And I think this is something that people should try to really put into their life, that you kind of surround yourself with the people, because together it's so much easier. I see this in Bali. When we were in Bali on our retreat, when we did the breath work together, it's smooth as butter. We just sit down, all do it, put this guy from YouTube on who guides us through, and we just do it. No questions asked. There's no. We do it. Like, we just do it. And this is actually something I'm really curious in your coachings, like habits. Do you see a common pattern in really the high achievers? Do they do all the same things? Do they all do their breath work, their cold plunges, their this, their that? Or is it completely different for everybody? Or what is your experience there, really working with the high achievers?
Completely different.
Yeah?
Completely different. I can quote you the spectrum from really being incredibly methodical, health-oriented, doing the ice baths, to people going into the opposite, going night clubbing, partying. It doesn't matter what it is. If it works for you, go for it.
Yeah.
Coming to the idea of competition and peer pressure. For some people, this is golden. For some people, it's too much. It's not about having, one or another way. It's about being open to figure out what works for you, and just sticking to it for the next years.
Oh, yeah.
Because then if every single day you become 0.1% better, imagine where you are after 10 years.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of the client work, that every single case is so different, and you can never apply the same tools, methods, conversation patterns. It's about figuring out what works in that very specific life situation, making sure that the client understands it and just builds on it. That's it. Don't do things which are not defined for you, please. Right? You can, irrespectively how much grit, how much courage, how much consistency you have, put your energy into the right place, and the results would be 100 times more productive than if you put the same level of energy where it's not supposed to be.
And I think the notion of 1% or even 0.1%, 0.001% better every single day, extrapolated over a lifetime, it will really, it will work. It will just work. If you have any progress, no matter how small, it's going to be progress. It's going to compound, most importantly. And that's what just people need to really be doing. Just every day a bit better. If you have a bad day, maybe a tiny bit better. If you have a great day, maybe it's a huge step forward, but just keep going. I think that's what matters.
And competition is versus yourself. We're all in very, very different places, initial, start moments. It's not about comparing yourself to others. It's about making sure you compete with yourself.
Yeah.
Every day, little victory, small one.
And celebrate it, because your dopamine system is gonna thank you. If you don't celebrate the wins really proactively, you're just gonna focus on the losses, and it's gonna be bad for you. If you work, and if you don't celebrate the wins, only the losses, literally, then you will associate work with something bad. Which it shouldn't be. You should really work hard. If you have the slightest of a victory, celebrate. Go out with friends, with loved ones, whatever. Enjoy and really be mindful about this.
It's a great point, and this is what I've observed working with really a variety of entrepreneurs, especially in AI place right now. It's a natural desire to compare, right? And I've heard stories. Oh my goodness, this person has raised hundreds of millions, and we're still far away. And you look from the perspective, oh my goodness, you're doing by the standard of 99.9% of world population, you are doing incredible. Big successful businesses, established products. This is more the mindset, right? If there is no limits to compare yourself. There is always a bigger fish. Do you want to be demotivated every single day? Like, oh, I'm not good enough? Most probably not. So maybe the better strategy is just to check behind your own shoulder. Am I growing? Am I walking my own development ladder? If you are, speed doesn't matter.
It's such a thin line, though. When you're at a certain point in life, I was always a fan of comparing yourself to people that are further ahead, not the other way around. Because it's easy to be the best in a certain group, in a certain region. It's very easy, but then you look at the world, there's so much more, right? And for me, it's a thin line between, okay, I want to compare myself to people that are better than me. Otherwise, I'm literally going to end up worse, right? Because I don't see what could be possible. At the same time, you shouldn't use that to make you feel bad, So you should still think, wow, okay, yes, I do compare myself with people that are better, but I'm also mindful about how far I've already come. And this is not easy, actually. It's very, 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 very hard. And it's really, I think for many entrepreneurs, this can feel like, okay, I do all this work and I push, and things are working out, but it still feels empty, for some people. How do you coach something like that? Let's say someone is really pushing hard. On paper, everything looks great. Everything is working out like 1 year ago, where if you would compare now, it's like day and night, but they achieve that and they say, what now? I mean, in a way, it could be compared almost to your corporate career, right? Coming from a very small village in Russia, then really working your way up corporate ladder to a very high position, right? Understanding, this is what I wanted my whole life, but it feels very different than what I actually that it's feeling now. You know, I have 10 examples of how I encounter this. How do you navigate this? Maybe for you, for yourself, maybe for people you're coaching. I think this is a very big topic, right? For many people.
It is. And let me take your example. Let's imagine truly on paper you have grown, you see the numbers are getting bigger, things are going the right way.
Yeah.
So a fair question, what would make you question where you are right now? What sits behind that? What do you think?
I don't know, but I just think we have this vision how it's supposed to feel, for sure. And it's most certainly not going to feel that way, because I think the problem is it's a gradual change. You know, if you compare, okay, from A to Z and the delta is 1 year, if you can go from one day to the other to this point, it will feel amazing. But I think because it is a gradual change, I can only assume the increments might be too small to really, for it to be significant. In a way, what we just discussed with the habits, right? 10% changes, you don't notice them. And that could be my way of analyzing how you get there. But I mean, the way more important question is, okay, how do you actually realign yourself? I mean, it's all in your head, obviously, but how do you realign yourself, your thoughts, your visions, your what have you, to really, well, appreciate what you already have, keep going, even stronger, even better, and really remove this feeling of, okay, I am here, and what now?
Yeah. And this is where we will go a little bit more philosophical and metaphysical, because really the very standard approach that we are taught as a society is we build plans, and then we measure everything which is going on through those plans. Can a plan be perfect? Never. But we believe that this is perfect, and then we compare and say, oh my goodness, it doesn't work. And you might have done the most incredible journey over your year, but if it's not meeting your expectations, the expectations that you have set for yourself, then you would feel, And this is really the Western way of thinking. For example, if you will go to the East, it's a totally different mindset. The mindset there is you go with the flow, like a mountain spring, and you just, where it will take you, just go there.
No planning,
It's the path of the least resistance. Also, as a society, we are taught to think in timing schemes. And you know, there are a couple different ways of seeing time. They're called cyclos, chronos, and kairos. I don't know, have you ever heard of this one?
Absolutely never.
So cyclos is a cyclical time, right? And this is how we mostly live as a society. We have a year. In the year, what you need to do in summer?
I'll go to beautiful Sardinia.
Go to beautiful Sardinia, relax. And then there is a time to work hard. And then there is a time to relax with the family. So as a society, we're really put in that specific time thinking. There is a second time, which is actually a natural time, which is called chronos. This is just, imagine the time on your, it just goes. So the big shift that people have to go if they want to live a purposeful and meaningful life is to get out of that cyclical thinking into, I just go in line with life. And if you believe that you are smart enough or logical enough to project what's going to happen with you, with your company, well, good luck. Good luck. So my recommendation is to take out that pressure from yourself and just embrace the journey. If you're going to be at your destination 2 months before or 3 months after, would that break a deal for you?
Absolutely not.
But psychologically, you would just give yourself that freedom, that self-care, that no pressure. And when I'm saying no pressure, it doesn't mean that you can slack and sit on your sofa and watch movies the whole day. No, but you release that pressure out of the system.
Yeah, and it's all about energy management. You know, I don't even think in time anymore. I think in energy. Maybe there's a Monday and maybe I will be incredibly productive. Some Mondays I literally get the work done for the whole week. It happens.
Yeah.
Other times I have a Monday where I can't even begin to think about starting, you know. A laptop doesn't open for some reason, you know. And I think it's so much easier if you understand, if you say, okay, that's okay. I'm just going to go with the flow. Today is a Monday. I mean, of course, if you're lucky enough to be able to do that, then it's a blessing. Not everyone can do that, right? But if you are lucky enough to be able to do that, then really go for energy management, not time management. That's probably my biggest learning last couple of years.
And you see, the beauty is that even that idea, think about it, the idea, Monday, I don't feel like doing this on Monday. For universe, it doesn't matter. There is no Mondays.
It's all man-made.
There is no, it's just a day, it's just the next day. This is a society that has created a certain pattern.
Yeah.
That told you, hey, Monday to Friday you work, then Saturday, Sunday you relax.
Yeah.
And this is the way to control.
I mean, in a way it's good because on the one hand, if you don't have this structure, probably some people would just work, and they wouldn't know when to stop, which is not, you cannot extrapolate that to infinity. You will break down at some point. Mm-hmm. So in a way, it's good to have those boundaries a little bit, but they need to be flexible.
Exactly.
You know, they need to be flexible. If today is not the day, today is not the day. Tomorrow will be the day. If not tomorrow, then the next day. One day will be your day. And that's, that's how I really approach these things these days.
So it's almost like shifting to more importance of your internal calendar, almost really creating for yourself, especially as an entrepreneur. I don't devalue the fact that still businesses work, right? Monday to Friday is the active time, and everyone wants to chill on the weekend. But the more you can switch to that mentality, really, if I want to go play tennis on Monday morning and I'm much more productive second half of the day, why would you push yourself to come and do things where you have zero energy? It's figuring out the most effective way for you.
Yeah. I mean, we're kind of describing the ideal scenario, right? You are the manager of your time, which is great, but also terrible at the same time. It's great. You can literally say, I'm doing this or I'm not doing this, but terrible, there's always something to do. You know, if you don't work within the boundaries, there's always something to do, always something to tackle.
Yeah.
Like, how would you approach this in a way? Probably a lot of the listeners, they are not there yet where they can just say, okay, it's Monday, I'm not going to do that, because they have to, right? So how do you combine the sense of passion, this is what I want to do, with the financial stability? Because not everyone, like, let's say you work a 9 to 5, you maybe even have a family, right? The money needs to flow. You cannot just say, I had a session now with Andrey, this is my passion, I'm going to go all in there. Like, what's usually the workflow you have there for people to transition?
Yeah, it's a great question. And the most important advice that I always give to people is don't change things radically. Put things in perspective. I am the last person to recommend throwing everything which is going on in your life right now into the garbage bin and changing radically. No. I'm saying this from my own perspective. You clearly differentiate different objectives that you have from different opportunities, jobs that you have in life. And if you have a work that is paying your bills, work there. Don't go crazy. At the same time, let's be very honest. If I open up a screen time right now for quite a few viewers of that podcast, the same people who might be telling, I don't have time to discover myself, pursue a new endeavor, learn something. If we add up the screen time and all the social networks, you will see a number which will be staggering.
Oh yeah.
So would that mean that you would have to dedicate time in the evenings, on the weekends, to things where you feel you can have extra passion. 100%. And nobody's saying it's gonna be easy and it's gonna be right at the first time. But it's almost imperative for you to, there is a saying, you need to invest 10,000 hours to become professional in any new skill. If it's 10,000 or less, I don't know, but it definitely takes time for you to build new thinking schemes, new skills, so you can decide if this is even something you want to explore, if this is something you want to double down, or this is not working for you. Start somewhere. Somewhere.
Yeah, again, same notion, 1% every single day.
Yeah.
Interesting. And let's say you wake up in the morning, it's not your day. Is there a coaching technique you can share with the people where they still kind of find that energy? Is there common theme that they could walk themselves through? Is there maybe some rituals they could do? Like, what have you? Like, so today's not the day. How do you change that narrative? Because at the same time, everything is in your head, right? I'm sure there are ways where you can say, today might not be that day, but it's still a day. So let's just make the best out of it.
Yeah, there are technical things how you can approach that, and there are high level things how you can approach that. On technical level, there is nothing better that can break that mentality than action. Hey, I'm not opening a new universe here. Whatever action you will take, not necessarily, that you would be completely enjoying it. Just do what is required from you. Even do something which is working on your dopamine system. Go to the gym. Have you ever seen a person who is unhappy after the gym?
Nope.
I haven't seen as well. But this is very, very technical. You can push yourself and, hard motivate only a reasonable amount of time. And this is why the why is so important. And this is why we have spent so much time today talking about purpose. Because as soon as you have that clarity, why I need to do uncomfortable things, right? And when you grow, when you build a business, when you build yourself as a human being, you have to do a lot of things that will most probably in the beginning bring zero results. And you just do, and you do, and you do, and you see nothing working. And you're about to surrender. And only the power of why can hold you from derailing from your objectives.
I think the biggest thing that derails people is actually their, effed up dopamine system. Because they literally, if you spend every single day on, TikTok and what have you, these algorithms are designed to really keep your eyeball on the phone, right? And in a way, it's the same bad thing as a drug, because there's nothing in this world that you can do in the real world, that gives you the same dopamine spike as just scrolling through 50,000 impressions a second, basically, almost, right? And I think this is something people really should tackle if you like the motivation in a day. When you wake up, today's not the day, look at your screen time and try to do a detox. A couple of weeks, 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 weeks, the difference will be insane. Like, it's absolutely insane. For example, when I want to open social media, there's 2 apps that block me. One is called 1sec, which is like basically where every time you open it, it makes you breathe for 20 seconds. And then it asks you the question, Enrico, are you sure? You really want to open Instagram right now? Are you really sure? And if someone asks you this question, actually, no, I don't really need it, And the second app I can really recommend is called Opal. It's OPAL. And basically what this one does, you can literally block the social media. Let's say you can use it for 15 minutes a day, 30 minutes a day, and then it's blocked. And you can actually make it such that you cannot unblock it. And once you do this, you actually already have the design to really, or the framework to really reduce your kind of dopamine addiction in a huge way. Because the most important thing is to really remove this instant gratification. Why do we open the damn phone in the first place? Because instantly we get rewarded with dopamine. Instantly. And if you can remove this component already, you make a huge step forward. And that's really the problem. If you have a dopamine system that is used to, 3-second TikToks or what have you, right? There's probably 20 other apps we could quote here, but just as an example, there's nothing in this world that you could do that will give you the same feeling. You're going to end up lazy, at least in my opinion. And I think this is something I really hope we can tackle this as a society, because I'm not saying it's bad. It's actually a great invention, social media and the whole landscape, if used wisely. If you have the right information bubble, it's always going to be a bubble because of the algorithms. And if you don't misuse it, really focus on long format podcasts, or just generally speaking, long format content pieces versus the short living content pieces. It's just going to be so much better for your path and for your energy. Most importantly, energy management as the key point from before, right? For most people, this is something everyone could probably work on, me included.
Yeah, I'm with you. And one golden truth we all need to understand about how our brains and our body works. Most probably, most of the people who would be watching this podcast, they have a good life. Having a good life by definition, and we are, as human beings, we are programmed to have shelter, to have food, to have sex. As soon as we have those kind of things, we really need to make an effort. Why would you put yourself into the zone of discomfort? Why? Your brain and your body will do everything to stop you. And this is where those ideas of procrastination come, because why would you worry? And there are technical ways to push yourself out of that comfort zone. But again, I'm a big believer that you can achieve big results, sustainable growth, realizing your potential only when you have an incredibly crisp answer. What are you doing this for? In the long term, really. Long term. And, it's always an easy exercise to imagine yourself being, 85 years old. What would you tell your kids, your grandparents about your life? Life is so short, right? We don't fully realize that it's so short. The opportunity that you have today may never come tomorrow.
You'll never be as young as you are today, as fit.
You will never be as young,
smart. Probably everything is declining every single day.
It. And the question that I like to ask my clients is, would you like the life to go exactly like it's going now? And where would you be if everything continues? That question creates a lot of because it's not about living, just living that comfortable trend you're on. It's what do you really want? Where do you want to end up to be proud? For yourself.
Now, if you had to boil this down, let's say you can give a push notification to every single human's phone in the world. One thing, like it has to be short, concise. They see it while scrolling, while doing whatever. Like, what would that be, given everything you've seen in first in the corporate career, and then in the coaching with high achievers, with people that achieved excellence? What's the one thing you would want to give just a regular Joe out there?
As you started to speak, and I don't know why that came to my head, I would ask a question. If your life would be a book, what would be on the cover of that book? What would be the cover of your book?
For me, it would be work-life excellence. Because kind of pushing hard, achieving great things, but being in the moment, being here for the family, for the people you love, right? And not just being absorbed by the work, while still really achieving the great things you want to achieve.
Yeah.
Because it's always it's both of those things. Yeah. If you have one without the other, you're going to be miserable. If you have the other without the first one, you're not going to be so happy.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So you see that's a provocative question.
Absolutely.
And I tell you that most probably every single one of the viewers of this podcast, of the human being, would have something to say. And this is, you cannot go higher.
Yeah.
It's literally a one sentence or one phrase summary of your whole life.
And what about you?
Oh.
What's the title? Short, concise?
I would say make a world a better place.
That's very general.
Because
don't you think?
No, this is the end sentence of my life purpose.
Okay.
And this encapsulates it all, right? And it doesn't necessarily have to be punchy and beautiful. It's what matters, right? And I know for sure that everything that I do in my personal life, in my professional life, really ties together to enabling change inside people.
This is much better actually for the title, because really enabling change is I think the big leverage you have. Of course, the output will be a domino effect of you helping people, right? Achieve excellence, achieve purpose, achieve happiness. But I think if I would be your
you can be my coach.
Yeah, if I would be your coach, if I would be the guy tasked selling your book, probably that's how I know you. That's how I would put it. Yeah.
Again, this is the beauty of that kind of discussion and question is you start questioning a lot of things, right?
Yeah.
And in order to come to that concise couple of sentences, one phrase, you need to do an incredible amount of work.
Yeah.
Right. And you may end up, imagine you get this push notification, you may end up understanding that, right, if you continue your life right now, on the same trajectory without change, the cover of that book might not be the one that you're gonna like. And if that doesn't provoke your action, well, I don't know what will, because only you can decide that you want to grow, that you want to change. Nobody will do the job for you. Nobody will enter to the caves that are the most scary for you. Only you can do that. And you need to have that internal drive and courage and energy to do tough steps.
And now, if we go the other direction, if we say, okay, not what people should do, but there's conventional wisdoms out there, right, that clearly should be ignored, whatever it might be. But there's some things you sometimes hear are like completely counter effective to what you actually want to do. What's one piece of conventional wisdom you would abolish completely? Like, kids, forget about this. Don't even spend a millisecond, an iota of a second to this. What would that be?
That's an easy one. What I face always when, as a misconception, when people go into personal development, is the idea that growth is easy, fun, and positive. Forget about it.
Can confirm.
Growth is pain, stress, struggle, despair, moments of darkness. And only when you go through that, you get back and you, wow, I'm actually a totally different caliber person. Exactly because of that struggle. So the funniest thing when I have my clients and they come, Andrey, honestly, I'm barely alive. I don't know how I'm surviving. I'm as close to, jumping off the bridge as I could ever be. I'm saying congratulations. Congratulations, because now I can clearly see that you are growing.
Yeah.
And like, you are right. And that just flips completely the perspective. And we are not taught that. And I want to be as practical and as brutally honest as possible. As soon as you feel you are torn into pieces and nothing works and there is so much stress, congratulations, you're in the right place.
That's where you grow. When it really sucks, when it's not, when it's not sexy, to continue, that's where you got to keep pushing.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Keep doing that. From my professional perspective, 1.5 years to 2.5 years is minimum time slot for you to see a significant growth. Yeah. Don't expect anything coming in 2 months, in 3 months. Don't even think about this. Commit. Realize that God knows how it's gonna be.
Yeah.
Stay consistent. Work on yourself. Be kind. If you feel if you want to sleep that Monday morning, just chill and relax. You will see, with proper focus, proper support, find yourself a guide, a friend, a coach, whoever who will look at you and say, hey, let me give you a perspective from different reality. Embrace it, grow. You would be in a totally different place in 1.5, 2 years.
Consistency is key, and not giving up, just keeping at it. And I think this is really this is the big mistake people make. They give up too soon. It's this meme, with the gold mine. The guy being in the gold mine so close. He has no idea how close he actually is. Yeah. And then he stops. And all the work he did up until that point is for nothing. Now, the thing is, you don't know when that will be, right?
Don't know.
That's why, in a way, if you're a hyper-rational being, the only rational thing is to just keep going. Because every alternative is worse.
Exactly.
Quitting is worse.
And remember, let's imagine there is no gold in that gold mine. But after you grinding metaphorically through that gold mine in 10 years, you're a different human being. Why? Because you have done 10 times more work and struggle and learning versus an average human who was sitting on the sofa and watching who knows what kind of movies. And then you would be like, whoa. As they say in psychology, change accumulates gradually, but change realizes itself instantly. So your only job is to make sure you change enough for that cumulative effect to happen, and then you're in a totally different reality.
Sometimes from one day to the next,
Exactly.
Like nothing happens for half a year, 2 years. And then in one day, you just, in some field, you gain all the wisdom you need, and then it just works.
Yeah. Exactly.
Andrey, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much. Absolute pleasure.